All right, hey everybody, we're going to take a look at all three of these bad boys right here. The Frontier, the Gladiator, and the Ridgeline. These are our three naturally aspirated V6 type mid-size trucks that we have left. The only ones that are still available that we can get with a naturally aspirated motor. So we're going to dive into all three of them and compare them and see what's going to be best for you. So first off here, we're going to look at a Frontier just because that's the one I came up with first. Forget the starting price because they do offer two-wheel drive versions, so it's kind of irrelevant. We'll dive deeper into that for you, but great motor. We're going to look at the specs. We're going to look at the details on this. These trucks are amazing, okay? They're straight up amazing, and they offer a trim level for everybody that does everything from simple work trucks all the way up to the very nice Pro 4X if you're into some off-roading stuff. So you got all the things that you're looking for here on it. Gives you good options. We go over here, we click on the four-wheel drive stuff. We can see here price-wise on here. So when you start getting into the crew cabs, which are what people are going to want, crew cab S34, these are basically all coming in about the same price. Okay, they really are. Now some people are going to argue that, but don't argue that yet. Why don't you just wait a minute and see what's going to happen here? Because we're going to cover everything from reliability to function to what the stats say on them to parts to prices used or resale value. That's all coming up in here for you, and I'll do it as quick as I can. But we basically, as you can see, prices are coming in, prices for it are basically in the $40,000 range is where we're kind of at in a, the 40 area for a four-wheel drive crew cab model. Okay, that's where we're kind of coming in at. That's great. We go to Gladiator here. We got the Gladiator. And I'll show you the specs and everything too. Gladiator's coming in also. Now we got quite a price variance. We do start at $37,800 or $37,900, and it is four-wheel drive only for this one. And they do go up quite high on the window sticker, which is irrelevant for each of these. We will talk about that. So the window sticker means nothing, but Gladiator, completely different vehicle, running the Pentastar engine, and it will cover that stuff for you. But a lot of different choices in trim levels between this one as well too. So good options. We got the Honda. Honda's coming in. Honda starts the highest of anybody for four-wheel drives at $40,000. This Ridgeline is not cheap, not by any means. Great truck. And then we got some options for our, do they show you our trim levels in here? Right here you can see them, $40,000, $42,000, $45,000, and $46,000 for this. It is not a cheap truck. Not a cheap truck by any means, but none of them are. Now this is all they offer. Like I said, the Gladiator window sticker goes all the way up to $60-something thousand. So these things can be expensive. Frontier only goes all the way up to, the highest one is the Crew Cab SL at $43,000. Okay, it's the highest they go. So like I said, these things are not, they're apples to apples in the lower ends, but the higher end trims can change things up pretty good. So let's dive in here and take a look at the specs on them here. We got a Gladiator right here for specs on this thing. It is a naturally aspirated 3.6, 8-speed automatic transmission, 19 miles a gallon on average. 285 horse, 260 foot-pounds of torque. We go down from there, 8-speed. And then you got all your specs right here, which you can look at if you want to. Most people already know what they're looking at in these trucks, so we're not going to get too far into that. I'm going to give you more of my opinion on it. But basically, that is your specs on here as we're looking at this one. Do they give us payload on this thing? Payload and towing capacity, is that on here anywhere? They are not giving that on here, are they? No, they are not giving us that on that, and that's okay. Like I said, we're going to move on from there. You can look that stuff up on there. If payload, I know 7,000 pounds for, unless you get into the Rubicon or Mopars, Rubicon or Mojave, then you drop down to like 5,000 for the automatic. The Nissan Pro 4X, or Nissan Frontier, they're looking at Pro 4X here though, but this is a 9-speed V6. We're getting 19 miles to the gallon on this one too, so basically almost identical. This is a 3.8 liter, 310 horsepower, 281 foot-pounds of torque, so it's got a little more power than a Gladiator. Maximum towing capacity 6,170, and max payload 1,220. Let's see if that's on here right here too. Did I have that right here? See, they don't have that on this one here, right there. It's kind of interesting that it's not on the Gladiator. Anyway, Gladiator 7,700 pounds, I believe it is. It says it right on here. what they're maxing out as. It does say it on this: 7,700 pound tow capacity and payload capacity up to 720 or 1725. Now, when we go over and we look at the Honda Ridgeline, we have another naturally aspirated V6, 9-speed, 21 miles per gallon. So you're getting a little better gas. On average, you're getting 2 miles per gallon better than each of these other two. Not tremendous, but you are getting 2 miles per gallon difference is what they're claiming on here. And it's a 3.5 naturally aspirated V6. 280 and 262 puts it about right on par with where we are here basically for horsepower. About the same thing as we're getting out of the Gladiator. Frontier's got a little more punch in that setup there. So so nice vehicles. What do they get? Do they give us any pay? Here we go. Max tow capacity on this 5,000. Max payload 1,544. So kind of gives you some ideas. These trucks are all three of them are very capable trucks. All right, they have it. How's the reliability and what the stats say on this? Well, I like IC Cars best is the one I like the best. IC Cars, we look at this. Let's look at overview here for it for the 2025 Frontier. It's 2024. They're using all the same thing. I think I even typed in 2024, but that's interesting. It popped up that way. But same vehicle. Overall score, 8.3 out of 10. Reliability, 8.4 out of 10. Retail or retained value, 8.5 out of 10. Safety, 8.0 out of 10. Okay, they come down here. Probability of reaching 200K 1,000 miles, 30.3%. Okay, take it for what it's worth. We do it here. It's what we're doing. We got to compare apples to apples. Average lifespan, 12.1 years, 30% chance getting to 200K, and you know, mid-8s for all their scores on here. If we go over here and we click on this one, what is this? Which one do I have on here? This is a Ridgeline. Ridgeline, 2024 Ridgeline, same thing. They're coming in higher. Look, we are 9s, okay? We are 9.2 for overall score, reliability at 9.3, retained value 8.2. They're saying a 52% chance of hitting 200K 1,000 miles on here and a 14.2 year lifespan. So looks like this, they're giving a little bit more reliability to the Ridgeline over the Frontier. Again, this is what they're saying. We'll have our own opinions here in a minute on some of this stuff. Jeep Gladiator, where are they coming in at? They're giving, they still don't have this overall score yet, overall reliability. They say it's because it's too new to actually compare it to. They're saying 8.7, so they're not giving a ton of stuff. So let's do this and go look at, let's look at a Wrangler, because they're basically the same thing. Let's just see what a Wrangler says. Hang on here. Jeep Wrangler IC Cars. Let's see what they say on this thing here. Why am I? Come on. What is? Let's try a year. Let's go 2024. You gonna give me anything on here? They don't really have anything on this on the Wrangler. Seriously? I spelled it wrong, but there we go. Let's see what this has. All right, here we go. So here's a Wrangler, which basically the same thing for all practical purposes. I'm assuming they're going to look at the 3.5. I'm hoping that's what they're looking at, but let's just see. They're saying 8.7, 8.5, 8.9 on retained value in here, so not too bad. That's the Wrangler because they got the hybrid down here. So here we go. So with that 3.6 here, 3.6 Pentastar, 8.7, 8.5, 8.9, and which gives it a probability of reaching 200,000 miles, only 16.2%. Average lifespan, though, 14. Reliability ranking. See, it's weird. How can they call reliability score 7.9? But here they call it reliability at 8.5. So, like I said, you take all this stuff with a grain of salt, but it's all we have to go by on stuff. And according to IC Cars, they're saying the Wrangler is, only it's got half the chances of getting to 200,000 as a Frontier does. Okay, and then the Frontier basically has just a little more than half the chance to get there than what the Ridgeline does. Take it for what it's worth with a grain of salt. It means absolutely nothing. We'll talk about that in 1 second. Just finish out the last of some of these kind of things here before we do. I know part-wise, I know that the, actually I wanted this right here. no, where was that? So they now, and I've talked about this article in here before about how great the Pentastar is and how many of them are on the road and how fantastic this thing is. It is a solid motor too. I know a lot of people are anti-Jeep. All three of these motors are amazing. Okay. All three of these motors are absolutely incredible, and there is no benefit to one over the others. People will comment immediately and argue with me about how the Frontier is better than all this, or the Ridgeline is better than all this, and the Jeep is the worst thing in the world, and blah, blah, blah. But realistically, they're all naturally aspirated motors, and they cancel each other out. How do they cancel each other out? Well, you have the Frontier, okay, which is a good, well-built truck, and it's going to go, and it's going to work pretty well, but it also, you know, as a lot of people say, you know, it's got things that are going to, it's got maintenance that's going to have to be done to it. You got direct injection, you got some things that have got to be taken care of, you got some bigger costs in there, and it's also a Japanese brand, which means parts cost more for it, so you got to take that into consideration. Same with the Ridgeline. Ridgeline uses a timing belt on there. How much does it cost to do a timing belt every 100,000 miles? Which I would do at 80 to be safe. You're about $1,000 to replace the timing belt on that truck. You know, for cleaning out the cost to clean out the carbon if your valves get all gummed up. About $1,000, $1,000 to $2,000 for the Nissan if you want to do that. So it shows you that there's options there. I mean, they're all going to need some maintenance. It's just part of the game, including the Jeep. Okay, but Jeep, one nice thing about Jeep being the American-made one on here is that stuff does not cost so much. Okay, I can buy a brand new genuine Mopar crate engine 3.6 liter for $6,000. Okay, I can buy a brand new motor for a Jeep. Okay, for a Ring or a Gladiator, I can buy a brand new crate motor, full done crate motor for $6,500. Probably cost me $1,500 to have it put in. Not a bad deal at all. You're not going to find that with the Nissan, and you're not going to find that with Honda. And when you do, they're going to be much more, probably double the cost. So that's a nice advantage to Jeep. Is yes, some people don't think it's as reliable, but parts are much cheaper. Even when we look at the transmission for a Gladiator, $3,600 brand new, factory direct, factory Chrysler parts, the original part numbers. It's $3,600 to buy a new transmission, okay? And I believe it comes with torque converter, okay? $3,600 to buy a brand new transmission. If we look at Nissan transmission right here, this is the part. This is the one for the Frontier, for this model year Frontier. $11,000 just for the transmission, okay? So you can see what I mean when I say parts, because of them being Japanese vehicles, cost a lot more. So even if Jeep is dropping down some in reliability, it's making up for it in repair costs tremendously. All three of these things are a wash motor-wise. Now, capability and function-wise, okay, when it comes to the Nissan offers something for everybody in a work truck style all the way to an off-roader and luxury stuff. So does Jeep. Okay, Jeep does the same exact thing. You can go from your basic, your basic sport model all the way up to the, the Rubicon and the Mojave and all that kind of stuff. You got the Sport S, which the Sport S is a very nice one there too. You got the Willys, you got the Rubicon, and you have the Mojave. So you got the Rubicon X and the Mojave X. So you got a lot of great options in here for a vehicle from a standard basic work truck on the sport level all the way through to higher end trims, same as you did with the Nissan. With the but with the Nissan, you get different cab configurations. Same with the Honda. Okay, you're going to have your base model. Now these are basically the same, but you got a Sport and an RTL, a Trail Sport, and a Black Edition. You're going to have some options here that you can choose from. How is the resale on these? All right, how is the resale? Well, again, everything is going to be based on this stuff, but before we talk about purchase price, let's talk about resale. If we go back 2022, and I only went that far because that's where the Frontier kicks in, okay, for the new style Frontier. So we're going to keep it apples to apples, okay? So if we look at a used 2022 Jeep Gladiator, I'm leaving all the trims open. We're not going to mess with any of that, and it's, we're going to just leave it as it is and take a look at them. What was I going to say in here? Oh, it's all Gladiators are four-wheel drive, so we're leaving it that way. Okay, so if we look at these, we look at the prices. Okay, depends on how many miles and what they are, but you can see they're coming in, prices here, 30s to 40s, depending on what we have in here. You can look at these more for yourself if you're interested and kind of get an idea. Okay, but you can see what the prices are coming in based on some miles that are on the actual vehicles. kind of get a note of it, kind of get a feel for it, kind of see what you're seeing on here. Okay, what we're kind of looking at. All right. Now, if we pop over here, and many of these, as you see, are sport, overland, which is, you know, more of a sport too. Here's a Rubicon with 50,000 miles. So you can see, but you can kind of see the flow here of what we're talking about, okay? Upper 30s, low 40s, basically is kind of where we're coming in at for these 2022s as we just go through here. Okay, it's about where we're sitting at. When we come over here to the Frontier, now we get the same thing. Now, the only thing I'm going to change on Frontier is I want to make sure that I have in here, I have four-wheel drive picked, and we do want to match body styles in here. So we want a truck cab size. We're going to go crew cab, so we're matching things to be together. And when we look at these, notice our prices are pretty much the same. Okay, now you are getting a few that might be, you might be a couple grand cheaper, but point being is that these are holding value very well too. Now some people are going to immediately jump and say, well, the Gladiator is so much more than that. Yeah, but it's not. So hold on, we're real world here. We don't care about the simple window stickers and stats. We care about real world. Okay, so realistically, and you can see these are, you know, this is coming in much lower, you know, as we look at this. You're averaging, when we average this throughout this page, we're looking at about 30 grand. Okay, where when we averaged it on this one, we're kind of coming in at the upper 30s, you know, the upper 30 range for the Gladiators here. I know it's not exact, but I'm trying to not spend hours on this for you, but you can see that we're coming in pretty decent. Okay, upper 30s here, low 30s here, you know, when you average it out on this page. Okay, it's kind of where we're coming in at. These are all four-door, crew cab, four-wheel drive models, 2022s. When we go into the Ridgeline, same kind of thing. Now, the Ridgeline is automatically all-wheel drive. We don't have to change nothing. It only comes in the same cab configuration. Okay, when we look at this, we're seeing mid-30s here. Keep right on going down. We're still, you know, but we're kind of hanging mid-30s on here. So it's kind of falling right in the middle of them, between the Frontier being the cheapest to buy used, the Ridgeline being the middle of the road used, and the Gladiator being the higher end for used as far as the prices are on there. Kind of interesting when you look at that, but now keep in mind, when you go to buy one of these, any one of them are going to have discounts. Now, realistically, Honda, you're only going to get 3 grand off maybe. You're not going to get much off of their MSRP prices. They don't negotiate that well. $3,000-$4,000 is about the max you're going to do, but if you're buying one for $42,000, you can see that these prices is holding its value very solid. Okay, it's the best way to put it. Very solid, hold on the value. When you look at the Frontier, okay, we go over here. Which one am I clicking on here? Or the Gladiator. Gladiator's holding value well too. Now some of you guys are going to jump down my throat and be like, a Mojave, a 22 Mojave for $43,000 with 36,000 miles on it. That's a $68,000 thing. Yeah, it's maybe a $68,000 window sticker, but you can buy these brand new right now all day long. You could go buy a brand new one of these with no miles on it for like 3 grand more than this. Okay, no joke. Okay, I'm not kidding around. For 50 grand, you can buy one of these. And here's one, you know, so the value is here in these as well, too. The resale value is rock solid in these, just like it is in a Honda when you compare your real world buy price versus your real world sale price. Okay, there's some advantages there. The same goes true with the Frontier. Okay, we may be seeing these numbers on here. Okay, you know, here's a used 2022 Pro 4X for $35,000. You can go buy a new 2024 Pro 4X right now for like $36,000. Okay, so these deals are holding, the values of all three of these vehicles are holding pretty strong. So basically what we're finding is that it's a wash. It's literally a wash between these. They are going to equal out in reliability. Yes, they are. I know some people, Jeep's junk. Okay, I'd never own a Honda. A Honda's not a real truck. It can't even go down the road or in the woods. Or, you know, the Frontier's got hard steering and that thing's no good. You know, or you just got done saying you'd never buy a Frontier because it's not strong enough for what you need off-road. I get so tired of the stupidity in the comments. I'm sorry, but I do. It's like, grow up. You know, it drives me nuts. But all that said, these vehicles, real world, real consideration. All three of them are absolutely fantastic vehicles that you could buy and own for 5, 10, 15, maybe even longer years that you want to. They will all average out in about the same amount of maintenance and requirements. They're all going to equal out in what they do, and they are all going to last probably longer than any of the other ones, the turbo options that are out there and the things like that, especially when you start getting closer to the 200 and 250 and 300 mile mark. Will these all make it 200 and 300,000 miles? Yeah. All three of these will, but they will require maintenance in the ranges of thousands of dollars of maintenance. It's pretty much going to just be that way. It's the world we live in today, but they will do it, and they will do it better than a lot of other trucks will. All three of these are fantastic options today. You cannot go wrong. So how do you make your decision on which one to buy? Choose the one that best fits your lifestyle. This Gladiator does what I need it to do. This Gladiator is perfect for me. For many people, this Frontier is what they want and what they need it to do. Okay? And then we have people that want and love the Ridgeline. More space inside, more luxe interior, more classy styling to it, better back seat, more comfort, better on-road manners, still capable to do some adventuring, put some motorcycles in the back. You can take them out in the woods, go do some camping. You see, you have to pick, actually they're showing it right here. You have to pick the one that matches your style. But if you think for 1 second that a Gladiator is better than a Frontier, as far as quality of vehicle, or that a Frontier is better than a Ridgeline, or that a Ridgeline is better than a Gladiator, or Ridgeline, if you think any of that, you're mistaken, in my opinion. They're all absolutely fantastic vehicles. Do not make the decision based on which one will last longer, which one will cost less to own, which one's going to, stick around for 15 years, which one's going to give you the least amount of problems. None of that matters. They're all the same. Pick the one that's best suited for your lifestyle and what you need to do. Put your comments down below.